Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz on March 16, 2020, and it's 12:25 a.m. in Birmingham. And topic is, how do you know, how you can tell, or when can you tell if this is the virus that's going to kill millions of people that the Bible talks about in the end of days? I can tell you that quickly. They had viruses even before the medieval era, the Dark Ages, Middle Ages. They had viruses way before that killed millions of people. This medieval era virus in the Dark Ages killed up to a half of the population. Some people say a third, and I say it's more than a third, more like 2/3. And then you had 500,000, 500,000 died in 1918. But before that, there were still 3 or 4 other viruses that killed in the hundreds of millions of people. And but how can we tell? Even if this virus kills 100 million people, does that mean that we're in the end days? I can say yes to that, and I'll tell you why. In the Bible, these things were not discussed. In other words, when you see these things happen, look up, because your redemption draws nigh. Well, then people say, well, then why didn't the rapture occur in the Middle Ages or in the medieval era, in the 1000s, 1058, in 1116? Why didn't the rapture occur then to stop hundreds of millions of people from dying? Well, I can explain that too. The Bible also says, when Israel becomes a nation again, that is the generation to watch for these things. And when these things start getting closer and closer, like the birth pangs of a mother ready to have a baby, when these things get closer and closer to one another, then look up. Your redemption draws nigh. And we're in that final generation. And I've said before that God says in Psalms 90, if by good measure, good faith, in other words, if there's a change that he likes, he could extend the generation of the Jews from 70 years to 80 years. The 70-year generation was up May 14, 2018. It was up. So now we have gone into and started on the next and final 10-year generation. So we are here at a year and a half, slightly more than a year and a half now, of the 3 years left for the church to be here. And I say that because the church is not here during the tribulation. The tribulation lasts 7 years. The church is taken out at that time or prior to that time. So when will the final 7 years actually begin? Has to begin May 14, 2021. That's 3 years into the final 10-year generation. It's 3 years. That's 73 years of the 80-year generation. There's 7 years left. So if this is the pandemic or epidemic or the virus that's going to kill millions, it'll have to hold up for a little while. Because before it brings on widespread destruction, The church has to go first, and then it comes. I don't see this as the one that's going to bring about the rapture of the church or the 7-year generation. I believe this virus may pop its ugly head back up about 4 years to 5 years from now. But I believe it's still going to die, and I believe Israel will be the one to find the cure for it. I believe the Jews will find a cure. It may be a co-cure with America, could be with Egypt, it could be with any other country, but I think the Jews will have a cure for this current virus right now that'll stop it in its tracks. Does not mean that it won't mutate and come up uglier later. Just be ready, just in case, to go home. Jody Wolf Expoz.